OpenAI announced a text-to-video algorithm that completely blows all competition out of the water. AI filmmaking was featured in the Super Bowl, and we're giving away $500 in the comments. This is your AI film news of the week. Happy Valentine's week, everyone. We have some news that you are absolutely going to love this week. And we're, of course, going to kick things off with the biggest news of the week. And it's that OpenAI has released their own AI video model. Basically, you type in text and you get an AI video. Now, this is just an announcement at this point. You actually can't use the model unless you're on their Red research team, but it is going to be coming very soon. So let's take a look at some of the results from this model. It's called Sora. You'll find a link to it below this video. So let's take a look at this example here. We have a woman walking down the street, and you can see that the clothes she's wearing looks realistic. We then cut to a close-up where we see her face and all of the movements, the weight on the earrings looks completely real. And in most scenarios with this AI model, you would never know that it actually used artificial intelligence. We also have this simulation of woolly mammoths walking around. And look at the weight. Look at the way the snow sticks to their feet, the way it crunches. It looks incredible. And I really think this highlights that by the end of 2024, most establishing shots and detail shots will be created using artificial intelligence. We also have this film here that is basically an astronaut walking around this desert area. And he goes to a ship, and basically through montage, it looks like a realistic short film. They have great examples of travel videos like this shot here that has beautiful waves hitting a cliffside. Check out the parallaxing. Look at how consistent the model is in not warping the edges, and those camera movements are really, really dynamic. So this is absolutely much better than the other AI generation tools that we've seen up to this point. In this scene, we have a fluffy monster that is looking at a candle, and look at the expression in his face. It looks incredibly realistic, and the fidelity is absolutely breathtaking. The results that I'm seeing on the screen right now look silver screen ready, but obviously you're going to go in, you're going to manipulate and change your scene, go in and do some compositing, some masking, rotoscoping, all of those things, those traditional filmmaking techniques would be applied, but you're using AI to power the core generations. I can't stress enough how big a deal this is for the filmmaking and creative world. OpenAI has been at the forefront of creative research for a while now, and we cannot wait to begin messing around with this tool. If you want to learn more about OpenAI's approach to filmmaking and video production, you can check out an interview we did with Chad Nelson, who is one of the head leads of video production and filmmaking at OpenAI, in the comments below. We had a chance to interview him for the Curious Refuge podcast. I highly recommend checking it out. There's a brand new tool called EmoSpeaker. And no, I'm not talking about a tool to play My Chemical Romance. It's actually an AI algorithm that allows you to change the emotions of your subject. Now, we've talked about tools like this on this show over the last few months, and in those episodes, I talked about how in the future, you may have a slider where you could actually dial in the emotion of your subject. Well, that day has arrived. Using the tool, the researchers basically show how you can turn down sliders to make somebody more angry or less angry. You can get rid of their happiness, or you could turn up their happiness. And all of these things can be adjusted with a slider. It's going to be absolutely incredible to see tools like these integrated into AI video editing applications. There was also a new AI white paper about a tool called Boximator. The tool was created by a research team from China, and they used what is almost Comic Sans for the font on their research paper, so you know they are serious. The thing that makes this tool really interesting is the ability to set checkpoints for where you want your animation to go. So unlike the multi-motion brush tool inside of Runway, where you can paint in and begin your animation by defining where it goes, this tool actually allows you to say where you want the animation to start and where you want it to end. And they have some incredible examples over on their website of subjects that get closer to each other, of a whale falling into the water, and quite a few other really interesting examples. It'll be cool to see this technology integrated into some of the current tools that are available like Labs or Runway, because I really feel like having more control over your AI generations only makes the process more creative. A team from the University of Waterloo put together a quick demonstration of a new AI algorithm that they developed that basically allows you to have more consistency in your videos so they don't fall apart like some of the AI generative video tools on the market right now. The examples on their demo page are really interesting. For example, we have this shot of fireworks, and the fireworks seem very realistic. We have this abstract orb. We even have this shot of a teddy bear walking, and you can actually see there's weight behind the steps that he's taking. The algorithm powering this tool seems very advanced. So I think this is a good indicator of the innovations that we will likely see in some of the bigger tools in the coming months. The team at Leonardo has been absolutely killing it lately with their innovations. They came out with a new image generation model this last week that kind of rivals some of the best generations that I've seen from Midjourney. Let's take a look. So we're inside of Leonardo here, and we'll go to image generation. And let's just make sure we have photo reel selected here on the left. So this is photo reel version 2. And for this prompt, I'll say a woman in a sci-fi film, and we'll click generate. So let's take a look at the results here. We can click in here and see our generations, and you can see that they look very, very realistic. The skin texturing looks realistic, the texturing on the clothes that she is wearing, the bokeh in the background. And generally speaking, I would say this looks classically cinematic. Now, most of the generations that you're going to get from Leonardo will have very traditional color grading, so a lot of the teal and orange or kind of that warm green tint that you see in a lot of feature-length films. But generally, I've been impressed with the results that we're getting from Leonardo. And if we do a quick comparison here, so I generated a man holding a basketball in a futuristic city, and I got these results here. You can see that they look pretty good. His eye might be a little too big there, but that looks pretty good. I don't think that's a regulation basketball, but not bad. The shot looks okay. His face is a little weird, and this shot, you know, the bokeh is realistic. His face looks pretty realistic, and generally, it's a good photo. Now, let's go ahead and compare that to the results that we got from Midjourney. So here's the image cascade that was generated inside of Midjourney. So you can see that we generated this image here, and I should note that the color grading on the guy's face, he does seem like he's a little under the weather, a little blue, but the result is very cinematic, and I love seeing more of those details. So I'd say generally speaking, Midjourney is more creative. But one of the advantages to using Leonardo is you actually have the ability to create a video very easily. You just click on this generate motion video button, and it will create it directly in the tool. You don't have to take it into Runway or Pika. You can do it directly in one platform. And that's a huge advantage because it really streamlines the process. So this is the video that I generated earlier from Leonardo. Obviously, the video's not perfect, but I think it really does highlight how the race to create this all-purpose AI creative app is really underway. And in many ways, Leonardo is at the forefront of creating very easy-to-use AI tools. And while we're talking about Leonardo, I want to note that they created a universal upscaler this week that basically allows you to upscale any image using artificial intelligence. So it's very similar to Magnific. So to use the tool, all you have to do is go to the Leonardo homepage and click on Universal Upscaler. So I'm going to drag in an image that we have from artificial intelligence. We have this image here. So we can see that this guy in the middle here, he looks a little distorted. There's something a little off about him. So we can actually fix that in the upresing process here. So I'm going to drag in the image here. And of course, there are some settings that you can adjust. If you want your subject to stay closer to the original, I highly recommend turning down the creativity strength just a little bit. And I'm going to upscale this image by ×2. Unfortunately, using Leonardo, you can only do ×2 at this time. So any image that you generate from Midjourney will not be able to be fully scaled up to be 4K quality at this time. So we'll go ahead and click upscale. So the image was upscaled using Leonardo. It took about 30 seconds in real time. So we can see that this is our original image, and when we scrub through, we have our upscaled image. So let's take a look at our subject here. Let me zoom in on him. So this is the original, and this is with the image upscaler. You can see that it's much more realistic. It looks like he's wearing a hood and a jacket, and generally speaking, it's a better result. So you can save this image, just right click on it and go to Save Image As, and then download it to your computer. The team at Krea AI also came out with an image upscaler this week that is very impressive as well. All you have to do is go to Krea's website, select the image upscaler, and drag and drop your image into your scene. Now, the cool thing about using Krea is you actually have the ability to upscale your image up to 16 times larger than your original image. So it's really interesting. You must have a Krea Pro account to do that, but it is worth noting. Now, for the AI strength, Krea is a lot more destructive with its AI upscaler, which can be helpful if you want it to have creative license, but especially if you're wanting it to be consistent with faces, you're going to want to turn down the AI strength. I like it around 0.3. Somewhere around there tends to work the best. And of course, you can prompt in what you want to see from your scenes. So we could say an establishing shot of a person in a beautiful landscape or something like that. And we can also do a negative prompt to refine further. I'm not going to type in anything because I want you to see the native quality from this tool. Okay, so let's take a look at our result here. This was our original, and this is after the up-resing has been applied. Again, if we zoom in on our character here, we can see this is the original, and this is after up-resing. Now, what I do like about Krea here is it kept a lot of the cinematic qualities of the actual camera or the virtual camera that was used to simulate this scene. Whereas some of the other tools like Magnific can sometimes break down the overall image and the results don't always look the best. So again, inside of Krea, if you're happy with your image, you can download it by clicking the download button. So let's compare our results here. Again, this is our original image. This is an image that we created using Gigapixel. And in most circumstances, I actually prefer to use Gigapixel to up-res my images because it is much closer to the reference that you upload as opposed to some of the other tools. They might completely change your base image, which is not ideal. This is the result from Krea. This is the result from Leonardo. And this is the result from Magnific. And that brings us to our game of the week. This week, I am so excited to share that we actually have a sponsor for this week's game. The team at Cool has volunteered to sponsor a $500 prize to the person who can guess which AI upreser was used to upres some of the following images. You'll find a link to download these images below. Cool is a very easy to use face swapping tool that we recommend inside of our course. I can't recommend checking out their tool enough. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to show you 4 images. They have been upresed using Gigapixel, Magnific, Leonardo, and Krea. I want you to tell me which one was upresed in which software. You can write in your answer below this video. We will randomly give $500 to one person in the comments. We will have a special guest to announce the winner, and let's just say he's theoretically a pretty awesome guy. Okay, so let's start the game. This is image 1. This is image 2. This is image 3. And this is image 4. If you think you know which upreser created 1, 2, 3, and 4, be sure to let us know in the comments. We'll let you know who won next week. And again, you can download the images in the link below this video. I think it's the best way to see the overall quality of the upresed images. Last week, Google Gemini Advanced dropped, so we've had a chance to test out the tool pretty extensively over the last week. And we gotta say that in many cases, we find that as a creative writing assistant, Gemini tends to be just a little bit more creative. But don't take our word for it, ChatGPT actually agrees with us. So We went into Google Gemini and asked it to create 10 log lines for a film that has never existed. We also went over to ChatGPT and did the exact same exercise. Next, we took the first 5 generations from Gemini and the first 5 generations from ChatGPT and put them together and pretended as if they'd been written by 2 different people. Then we fed the results to ChatGPT and asked it to tell us which one was more creative, and ChatGPT selected Google Gemini as a more creative option. And while we're chatting about ChatGPT, I want to point out that they actually came out with a new memory feature that is slowly being unveiled to new users. The memory feature basically allows you to save information from one chat and reference it in another chat. So it allows ChatGPT to be a much more well-rounded creative assistant for you. If you don't want ChatGPT to remember certain things about you, you can of course turn off that feature inside of chat. A team at Apple also released a white paper that is one of the first explorations into AI motion design. It's called Keyframer, and it basically allows you to generate CSS animation from a text prompt. So it's a back and forth process where you can type in code and change the output that you see. The tool is looking to make the process of motion design much easier. And I can tell you, as someone who spent years learning motion design, that the tools and applications required to create really good motion design projects can be incredibly challenging to learn. So having AI tools as a creative assistant will be very helpful for that process. I also came across a really great Twitter account that I highly recommend following. The artist's name is Hugo Ventura, and he basically puts together really nice Midjourney prompts, and he shares his prompts with you and tips and tricks, which are really interesting. But one specific post that I came across that I found to be fascinating is he started testing color combinations using Midjourney, where he actually was prompting Midjourney to change certain aspects of the frame to different colors. For example, a blue background with a subject who was wearing an orange dress. And Midjourney was realistically taking that art direction and displaying it in the image results. So it's some of the best contextual understanding that I've seen as it relates to art direction using AI tools. And we can't wait to explore this feature further. So Hugo, thank you so much for this creative experiment. It also came out this last week that NVIDIA is now worth more than Amazon. This really is incredible news, and I think it really does highlight the fact that moving forward, society is only going to use more GPUs, more processing power to power AI algorithms. And this also comes on the heels of Sam Altman coming out and asking for $7 trillion so he can get into AI chip manufacturing. And while we're talking about NVIDIA, I also want to note that they released their own local chatbot that you can run locally on your machine. We were chatting with the computer manufacturing team at Puget Systems this last week, and they said that the tool is up and running and it's giving comparable results to around ChatGPT 3.5. So it's really interesting to see local instances of AI chatbots running on machines as opposed to only having to rely on cloud computing. There's also a leak this last week that someone on Twitter found where Microsoft essentially accidentally showed that they are going to be releasing an AI upscaler inside of their platform. This AI upscaler will work in real time and basically look to convert video game graphics, and I'm sure ultimately graphics and videos in general, in real time to get more quality than ever before. We actually have talked about AI upscalers like this on this channel with a conversation that we actually had with the team at Leia. And basically they said that in the future, TVs and computers, generally speaking, will have chips that use AI to up-res to get more resolution rather than having to shoot the content in that native resolution alone. These AI tools will of course be released over the next few months and in the coming years, but it's going to dramatically change the way that we share and distribute the content that we create. Elevenlabs also came out with an update to their voice-to-voice tool that now allows voice-to-voice to work much better in multiple languages. They released it in 29 different languages, ranging from Japanese to Spanish to Italian and much more. And while we're talking about Elevenlabs, I want to note that they actually will pay you now to train their voice models on your voice but you actually will get royalties on every generation that uses your voice. So it's kind of this tokenized system that will allow voice actors to be paid every single time their voice is used in a generation. There was a research paper that came out called Consistory, it's hard to say 10 times fast, that basically allows you to create consistent characters without training a model. So you don't even have to upload an image or multiple images to have consistent characters in the images that you create. I think this type of technology, especially whenever you begin to pair it with an incredible image tool like Midjourney or Leonardo, is going to be very helpful and user-friendly for creating consistent stories in the future. A team at UC Berkeley has put together a white paper featuring an algorithm that they've developed that actually has the ability to watch up to 1 million tokens of content. In real time, that means about 1 hour of video footage. And the reason why that's important is in most instances, whenever you're using AI to interface with a tool like YouTube, all it's doing is reading a transcript. It's not actually looking and analyzing the actual video frames and telling you information about the inputted footage. This tool can actually watch up to 1 hour of footage with over 500 shots, and you can ask it questions about the video that it watched. Now, that's amazing, of course, for research and asking for video summaries, but if we reverse engineer and think about how this technology might be used to actually put shots together, I think it actually does lay a foundation for the future of AI-generated films. I think we're going to see AI create films with more specific shots and with intelligent direction very soon. And while we're talking about AI-generated films, I want to show you a quick little tool that I came across this last week. It's called Augie Storyteller. Essentially, it allows you to type in a prompt and see a video in return. We've talked about some of these tools on this show before in the past. There's a little example of kind of a Pixar-esque dragon movie that was automatically created with AI. Is it great? Absolutely not. The characters are inconsistent, the styles are inconsistent, the story is not that compelling. But the truth is, this is an early prototype of AI-generated films that will more than likely be dropping very soon. Sam Altman also said this last week at a World Government Summit that GPT-5 will be smarter, faster, and more multimodal than GPT-4. Now, of course, that's not really much of a surprise. I think we all probably guessed that. But the fact that he is being open to talking about GPT-5 really does hint that the release of that tool is more than likely in the near future. We had early predictions that it would be out before the end of 2024, but that timeline is being moved up almost every single day, so we'll let you know whenever we have a definitive release date. The Super Bowl happened this last week, and AI was everywhere. It was actually incredible to see the Microsoft Copilot ad that featured AI filmmaking inside of the advertisement. Of course, there were a few other AI commercials like the Minions AI commercial, which was incredibly cute. And I came across a really interesting story from Petapixel where they actually said that people were a little confused about the Jesus commercial that had these really elaborate photography tableaus. They actually thought that was AI generated, but it wasn't. So AI is so good now that people don't actually know which part was created by a team of set designers and which team was created by artificial intelligence. While we're talking about the Super Bowl, I want to point out that we actually had the president of SMPTE, Renard Jenkins, on our podcast to talk about artificial intelligence and how it relates to broadcasters. And we talked about the Super Bowl and what we really feel like this year's numbers mean for the future of communication. And that brings us to our AI Films of the Week. I want to kick things off talking about a new project created by Dave Clark. It's a really incredible AI commercial that really highlights where the future of commercial AI production is going. Now, he created this project with Secret Level, and I think it really embodies some of the potential in using AI on commercial productions. I should note that you can join the waitlist for AI advertising. We are going to have a bonus enrollment at the end of this month, and we would love to have you join our very first session. Our next film comes from Gabe Michael. We actually met Gabe this last week. He's an incredibly nice guy. He put together this project called Unknown for the Runway 48-Hour Film Festival. It's a beautiful example of this impressionistic style integrated with a consistent character from shot to shot. I really enjoyed this film. You'll find a link below this video. Our next film is called Melody of the Outcast by Lubos, Belak. The film is a really interesting concept that was created for the 48-hour film fest that integrates this flower aesthetic with kind of this fluorescent dystopian world. And it's all about a robot that's basically learning about art and creativity. The curation was incredible, and I think you did an amazing job. And our final film of the week comes from Jacquelyn, Halpern, and Lexi Hill, who put together this beautiful Pixar-esque film for the Runway 48-hour Film Fest. It's one of the most compelling 3D animated style AI films that I've seen up to this point. I cannot believe that they put it together in only 48 hours. It's incredibly cute. I recommend checking out the full thing. And while we're talking about cute dogs, I want to note that if you're inside of our Discord channel, we have a pet parade channel that has some of the cutest dogs from some of the members of our AI filmmaking and advertising community. The dogs are absolutely adorable, and if you are inside of the channel and you haven't shared a picture of your cat or your dog or your goldfish or your piranha, I don't know what kind of pet you have, be sure to share it inside of the channel. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of AI Film News. Of course, you can subscribe over on the Curious Refuge website to get AI film news delivered directly to your inbox. And you can subscribe here on YouTube to get notified whenever a new episode drops. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.